So we are going to discuss today, starting from today, for next couple of weeks, the customer protection laws and practices. I think the tools with you, it's available with you. So financial crisis management is a very important area, the customer protection laws and practices. Usually there are maybe 3 to 4 questions are coming from these sections, and mind you, again I'm going to tell you, and this is going to be benefited by you for other subjects like survey and commercial banking as well, right? So try to study this very carefully and very interesting. Okay, so let's look at the first one. Why regulating financial institution is important? Why we need to regulate financial institution when you are compared with other businesses? There's a specific reason for that. The first reason, the business is, as we discussed earlier, the business is purely based on trust and confidence, right? So therefore, if the loss of trust and confidence of customers, a financial institution business cannot be taking place. So therefore, someone need to be there to regulate the financial institutions. That's the first reason. Second reason, the financial products are very complex in nature, very difficult to understand, right? Always favor of the bank side. So that is another reason. Now, for an example, when you go to the bank for with the savings account book, so they put some figures in as interest, so you don't know how to calculate that, you believe what the banks have put it, no? So like that, financial products are complex. That is another reason why regulating a financial institution is important. And also remember, the bank runs with the depositors money, right? So bank cannot play around with the depositors money, right? The bank need to pay back this money, right? And apart from that, you can, if you want to add something out of these three, you can say, actually, you can write down if you want another point. The financial, it is the backbone of the economy. The financial system is the backbone of the Sri Lankan economy, for that matter, for any country's economy, right? So you can put another point here, by regulating financial institution. Another point is, it is the backbone of the economy, right? It is the backbone of the economy. And another point you can put, subjective, subjective to high risk, right? Subjective to high risk. These are the extra 2 points you can put it down if you want. Okay, so now you know why regulations are important. Now let's look at it now. Uh, Many reasons now, out of which I talk to you. There are so many things. Um, uh, uh, we're going to discuss in detail uh, what are the reasons why regulations are passed in financial services. First point. What is the first point? Right? To protect customers. Now, in your handout, you put consumers, but doesn't matter. But if you customer is the better word, so you can delete the consumers and you can put customers. The first thing, we need to protect customers. First reason, by regulations, protect customers, right? Second point, to maintain soundness of the financial institutions, right? Not only protecting customers, to maintain soundness of financial institutions. The regulator has taken some action. Now, what we are going to discuss today, what are the actions, what are the regulatory things the banks has taken or the regulator has taken to protect consumers, as well as to maintain the soundness of financial institution. The third factor is to maintain stability of the financial system. To maintain the stability of the financial system. And the last one, to obviate or reduce criminal activity concerning money. Right? For these four reasons. Now, for an example, uh, now say criminal activities, the bank can be used to send the money by one person to another person to do some uh, illegal activity, right? So bank cannot allowing to do that. So therefore, there may be a rules and regulations are established or introduced by the regulator to not to happen something like that. That is why we call KYC, CDD, anti-money laundering laws. All things are we are going to discuss under the last point. Reduce criminal activity concerning money. Right? Okay. Now, so what are the four? What are the four reasons? Meaning reasons. What are the main reasons financial services should be regulated? To protect customers. Second, to maintain soundness of financial institution. Third, to maintain stability of the system, the financial system. And last one, to reduce a criminal activity concerning money. Now we are going to discuss one by one what rules and regulations are prevailing or introduced by the regulators on these four main aspects. Okay, now we first take to protect customers, right? The regulators are there to protect customers. Okay, now before that, now the protect customer from unscrupulous criminals. Now there are some financial institutions, right, are not approved. Illegal institutions are there, or maybe some institution can play around with your customers' money, right? And also, as we discussed, the financial products are more complicated, complex. So therefore, a poor, innocent customers need to be protected. Now, one reason why, as we explained to you earlier, the financial products are too technical, very difficult to understand. We call annual effective rate, we call floating interest rate, so many things, LTV, all what full of technical jargons, right? So therefore, people cannot easily understand. Contractor open one-sided favor. Now that what do you mean by that? Now bank and a customer relationship is a contractual relationship. No, we discuss, but the contracts are little more favor towards banks, right? So that therefore there's a little disadvantage to customers, right? Okay. Third one, information is also usually asymmetric and not adequate or difficult to understand sometimes, right? Certain financial products, financial sometimes loan are always one-sided and not enough information to a customer to understand, and also is difficult to understand, right? The third reason, the comparison of true price is extremely difficult. Now, the classic example we discussed last 2 3 weeks ago, the AER, right? Compound interest, AER versus normal annual rates, right? So, due to these reasons, right, we need to protect our customers. So, for that reason, remember, so there are laws and practices, right, available and introduced by the regulator in this regard. Now, what we are going to discuss, we are going to discuss all these laws and practices where the customer is going to be protected, right? We have already learned something, right? Okay, first one. Now it is in your handout. It is not there, but doesn't matter. You can just put side AER. You know what is AER? Can you remember? Annual effective rate. Annual effective rate. Now it is a mandatory to display all the advertisement appeared or in the newspapers according to the Sri Lankan central bank guideline. Interest rate advertisement, a bank or a financial institution put an interest rate advertisement, so you need to put AER. That is the actual interest rate you are going to get it, right? It is make it mandatory. We discuss double your account in 5 years. Can you remember? Right? If you put it 100,000, after 5 years you get 100,000. So there you are losing what? The compound interest rate. Can you remember? Right? So if you put 100,000, say 20%, say what is the interest you are going to get? 20,000. Right? For 5 years, 20,000 into 5, 100,000. But you are not taking into account 100, because first year, end of the first year, you end up with capital plus interest is 120,000. Your interest to be calculated for 120,000. But it is not the case, right? Okay, you know what is AER. Then we discuss normal interest rate, annual interest rate equal to AER for 1 year deposit. Remember, AER is less than, more than 1 year deposits, but AER is more higher than the normal interest rate if the interest rates, if the product is going to cover less than 1 year. That's a principle, something what we have discussed. And then another thing, one can remember, nomination in bank account civil procedure code, right? Amendment in 93 to section 544, right? Civil procedure code, a nomination in bank account. That is the special facility or the special protections given to the customer, right? Remember, it will supersede what? It will supersede the last week. But nomination you cannot do for current account. Can you remember we have discussed in detail? Now these are the two practices and available with the customer already what we have discussed. Right. Now we are going to discuss some more important things, and that is financial ombudsman, right? Second one, we are going to discuss deposit insurance scheme, and the third important thing, customer chart. Definitely one question is coming from these three areas, and also not only my subject but in other subject as well, maybe commercial banking, maybe survey, right? You can see some questions we will discuss, right? Now what we are going to discuss today, we start with financial ombudsman. Right? We discuss with financial ombudsman. What is financial ombudsman mean? What is the singular meaning for ombudsman? Duggannaral. Duggannaral. Financial ombudsman. You can see ombudsman in parliament. We call parliament ombudsman. Then you have insurance ombudsman in Sri Lanka. Third one is the financial ombudsman. There are only three ombudsmen are available in Sri Lanka: Parliament, insurance, and finance. Okay, let's look at it. More details on this. Right now, it was established by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, a separate scheme called Financial Ombudsman Sri Lanka. Right. Okay, it is started in 2003. It started from 1st December 2003. The commencement date for financial ombudsman in 2003. And actually it is there from other countries as well. The New Zealand, Australia also have a financial ombudsman scheme. But as far as in Sri Lanka is concerned, we have more head with the other South Asian countries, right? So this ombudsman scheme commenced from 1st December 2003, right? Some of the things you need to understand. So, what is the objective? Examiner can ask, what is the objective of financial ombudsman scheme? Right? Okay. Objective of the ombudsman scheme is the satisfactory. You can underline this word, right? Satisfactory settlement and resolutions of complaints or disputes by customers of banks and other financial institutions covered by the scheme. Right? Right. So you don't want to write all the things. You can simply say what is the main objective: satisfactory settlement and resolution of complaints and disputes between customers and banks and financial institutions. That's a main objective. Right? Now, suppose if you don't have a financial ombudsman scheme, if you have any problem, you have to go to the courts. The moment you go to the courts, you know the cost. It's very cumbersome procedure, costly. You have to pay lawyer fees, other fees, and all fees. In order to prevent that, so this scheme was introduced for what? For benefit of the customers. Right? People don't want to go to courts to get their some relief. Right? Now, remember participating financial institution. Now you will think, who is ombudsman? From 2003, right? Who is the current financial ombudsman? Where his office is located? His office is located in Vajira Road, remember. Vajira Road, Colombo 5. You know where is a Vajira Road, no? The Colombo people may know that is close to Vishaka, right? Okay. Financial ombudsman located in Vajira Road, Colombo 5. Now, who is the current financial ombudsman? Can anybody know who is the current financial ombudsman? Can anybody tell me who is the present financial ombudsman? Huh? No idea. Okay, so let's look at it now. Who is the present financial ombudsman? Okay, right. Let's look at it. This question. Now, this question in March 2017, financial client management question. Right. Please look at this question. The name of the present financial ombudsman in Sri Lanka is, what may be the correct answer? Right? Mr. Walter Ladduwa Hetty. He is the first financial ombudsman. Remember, but you don't want to know all the previous guys, right? Walter Ladduwa Hetty is the first Sri Lankan financial ombudsman. Then after Mr. Ladduwa Hetty, because the term is 2 years, right? Usually every 2 years, the financial ombudsman need to be changed, or maybe he can go for another 2 years, right? 4 years like that. 2 years is the period. Ombudsman period is like parliament, right? Every 5 years, likewise. Ombudsman period is 2 years, remember, right? Walter Ladduwa Hetty is the first one. The second guy is Suraj Mapa, not Suraj, not that actor. Is U Mapa. He's the second financial ombudsman in Sri Lanka. U Mapa, second guy. The third guy, after Mr. Mapa retired, or after the Mr. Mapa, the Ranjit Ranaraja, Dr. Ranjit Ranaraja became as an ombudsman. Right? Ranjit Ranaraja. Now you know, then what is the answer? Mr. Ananda Kumara Dasa. Right? Mr. Ananda Kumara Dasa is the current financial ombudsman in Sri Lanka. Ananda Kumara Dasa. Right? Now you get 2 marks. This question was asked in March 2017. Now you know who is the current financial ombudsman in Sri Lanka. Right. Now, the important thing is, now, who are the organizations covered under this financial ombudsman scheme, right? The financial institutions, there are some 5 institutions covered under this ombudsman scheme. One, licensed commercial banks. All licensed commercial banks are covered under ombudsman scheme. Second, the licensed specialized banks also covered under ombudsman scheme. Then we have the registered finance companies supervised by the central bank. Registered finance companies also covered. Then primary dealers licensed with supervised by the central bank. Right? Remember, license leasing companies also, right? And primary dealers also covered under ombudsman scheme. Now, what do you mean by these are the participating institution? So what do you mean by that? That means, suppose if you are a customer of one of these institution, if you have any some dispute, some problem with particular institution, right? You can complain to this your financial issue to financial ombudsman. Only these 5 institutions. What are the 5 institutions? Licensed commercial banks, specialized bank, finance companies, leasing companies, and primary dealers. 5. There are 5. Okay, remember that. Okay. Now, financial ombudsman is have the power, remember, has the power to inquire into and settle any complaints and disputes between individual customers, right? Okay, individual customers. Customers and the financial institutions covered by the ombudsman scheme, right? So ombudsman has the power to inquire into and settle any complaints and disputes between individual customers and those banks and financial institutions, okay, covered under this schemes, right? Now, what are the things you can complain? So everything you can't complain, right? So what are the things you can complain? Now there may be a question asked on this. At least you may remember 5 areas is that's enough, right? There are all the areas I have given to you. I will just explain, right? What are the complaints? What are the areas you can complain to your ombudsman? Let's look at it one by one. Say non-payment or inordinate delay in payment or collections of checks, draft, bills, etc. So you can complain because of this issue, some non-payment, because you are issuing a check, right? And it is not, as since you are having the money in your account, the bank has not paid that, clear your check to a third party. Therefore, you may lose your businesses. So that is the uh, issue, right? Right. Then non-issue of draft to customers and others. You go and ask some draft, but then bank is refused to give you. So provided that your legal request, right? So that's another issue. Then non-adherence to prescribed working hours. What do you mean by that? Now you now there is an opening closing, we are going to discuss those things, right? Where bank is open from, let's say for example 9 to 3 so you go there around 2:40, 2:50. You are uh, not allowed to go inside. So that's a complaint. You can complain because banks has to work according to the working hours given. And also failure to honor letter of credit or commitments by banks. So you know what is letter of credit? Letter of credit means bank, you go to the bank and open an LC to import some goods, right? From another importer or from your supplier. So bank have not honored the letter of credit commitments by you, and you can file or can complain. And also some fraudulent withdrawal from your account. Somebody has taken the money from your account. That also you can complain. Okay, so there are fraudulent encashment of a check, and that's you have you are not issued the check, but there may be a fraudulently change or encash the check. So that also you can complain. There are so many things. Complaint by customers pertaining to the operations of any customer account with the financial history, right? So when you are maintaining certain accounts, so they may not properly operated as per your instruction, right? Then complaint from export customers of mishandling of export bill. You know, you are going to discuss all these things when you go to your DBF and international trade. So there may be a lot of documents banks are issuing, but those documents are not properly handled by the banks, so that you are can complain. So there may be a remittances issues. So people are sending money to Sri Lanka and this bank have not given the money to you and things like that also you can complain, right? And also you can complain relating the violations of directives of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka in relation to the financial services. Now, these days, there may be a complaints, no, banks are not, now we have a moratorium system, no, people who have some problem with corona and are not in a position to pay their monthly installment, right? So even though that bank has cut the installment like that, for that also you can complain to Ombudsman, right? And some complaints, you can complain some charges, right? Fees obtained by the bank unnecessarily, right? There are certain charges you have to pay, but extra charges, right, where you have not promised to pay, right? And also like other things, any other things you feel it, you can complain to financial ombudsman. Now see, you have now learned around 10 areas you can complain, but sometimes the examiner can ask from you what are the areas or what are the things you can complain to financial ombudsman. For that, you may can at least you can remember 5 points, the key points where you can remember. So that's more than enough. Usually one expect 10. If you know the 10 areas is better, right? So right. Now, another important things about the financial ombudsman, right? Now, now before this, you need to learn, need to know something. Now, can anybody? Now is important, right? Before you go to the uh, ombudsman, remember the important point here. Before you go straight away to ombudsman, first you need to put a complaint to your respective bank. Now, say for an example, you are a customer of B bank, right? Now you can't, you have some problem with your, say for an example, they have not given the interest rate as agreed by the bank, for an example, right? But you can't go straight away to the ombudsman, right? First you need to do, make a complaint to your respective bank. If bank fail to give you solution where you can accept, then only you can go to ombudsman, right? You can straight away, without communicating to your bank, problem bank, you cannot straight away go to the ombudsman. That's the important thing, right? Okay, so first you need to complain to your bank, right? And usually there is a dedicated person is usually supposed to be appointed by the respective bank called complaint settlement officer or any some similar names, right? Complaint settlement officer, and usually he is the person take all these problems and discuss with the bank management, try to sort it out to the customer. If the customer is not satisfied or not given hearing to the customer's question, only then you can go to the ombudsman, right? Remember on that. Okay, first you need to write, and usually they will charge you a very minute 250 rupees um, fee. Really, 250 is nothing, no, 250 rupees, right? Okay, and then uh, and also remember now, according to the ombudsman, uh, the last so many years, the complaints, majority of complaints are received by ombudsman with regard to leasing issues, right? Leasing issues, right? Remember that also, right? Many complaints out of all now these days are coming to ombudsman pertaining to leasing issues or leasing problems, right? and and also remember now how we handle this. Now once the complaints come to the ombudsman, once the complaints come to the ombudsman, what ombudsman is doing, and he will see whether are there any sufficient ground to make an inquiry, right? And then he sent the customer's complaint, right, and send it to the particular respective bank and ask them to come a particular date, and that date also given to the customers. Then the customer, the problem customers is coming, the representative or maybe the whoever who nominated by the bank also be there in front of ombudsman, and then ombudsman try to sort out this problem, right? Okay, so ombudsman also gives some idea, because that is why ombudsman need to be a banker or maybe a lawyer who knows the banking law and things like that, right? That is how ombudsman was appointed, right? He must have a adequate knowledge, right? Then usually call the bank representative and the customer and try to sort out the problem, right? Another important thing, remember, the ombudsman can go up to maximum of 3 million. 3 million is the maximum uh, compensation, right? Up to 3 million. Remember, certain things you not mention in your handout, 3 million, right? If the customer is not satisfied with the ombudsman answer also, right? And customer now can go to the courts, right? If the customer is not happy, he can go to the courts and file action against the bank, right? Okay, remember that also, right? Okay, right? Now you know what ombudsman role, and remember, and the scheme will be coordinated by, and it is an incorporation under what we call the Financial Ombudsman Sri Lanka Guaranteed Limited, right? Guaranteed Limited. Okay, so ombudsman scheme goes under the Financial Ombudsman Sri Lanka Guaranteed Limited. And also we are going to learn this important thing, right? It is important things. Remember, it is mandatory to display ombudsman office and the contact number at all branch premises. Now, see if you are a banker who are working in the bank, Now you can see whether your branch, you have put the ombudsman office and contact number in your branch to show your customers. Whatever, now you can't face all these names. Now you have now display, TV display. That one, it is rotating sometimes. So otherwise you have to fix to the some other place in the branch, and it should be shown to the customer. That is according to the customer chart. I'm going to explain later on, right? You, every bank must display ombudsman office and the contact number at all branch premises. It can be visible to customers, right? Okay, now that is a, a practice or the law, right, established or by the regulator to protect customers. If you don't have an ombudsman, you need to go to courts. That is very costly, right? Ombudsman is there. What is the objective of the ombudsman, right? Satisfactory settlement of customers' problems, any disputes, right? Okay. So sometimes the examiner may ask from you, write short notes, right, about the financial ombudsman. So then, of course, what are the things you need to write? If it is the case, right, basically you can write, right, first you can say, um, this financial ombudsman scheme was commenced from December 2003, and what is the main objective of the ombudsman scheme, right? And then you can say, presently our ombudsman is Mr. Ananda Kumaradasa, and these are the 5 financial institutions covered under these schemes. Any complaint, any issues pertaining to customers who have been with these financial institution, you can complain, right? And he's having the power to inquire to settle any complaints, and these are the areas you can complain. And then also you can say, and it is a mandatory to display ombudsman office in contact number at all branches, and it is governed by the Financial Ombudsman Sri Lanka Guarantee Limited. Right, so these are the key points, and also you can, other points I told you, go up to maximum of 3 million, right? And first, before anything, you go to the ombudsman, you need to complain first to your respective bank. Then only, if you have not got any solution, only you can complain to the ombudsman. What ombudsman is doing, call both parties, client as well as the bank representative, to try to sort out their problems then and there, which are benefited to the banks and usually bank, but financial ombudsman, what he's telling, bank is adhere, obliged to his request, but he can go up to maximum of 3 million. Right. You see, it's a very simple and very cost-effective method of having to find some solution to the customers, and thereby, remember, having establishing financial ombudsman, what happened? Build up the customers' trust and confidence. Right. Okay. So I think you understood about financial ombudsman. Right. Okay. Clear. Right. Right. Having understood that, now we go for another similar uh, practice and a law where you can protect the uh, customers, and that is what you call deposit insurance scheme. Now these days, this is a topic, no, paper, newspaper, TV, you can see deposit insurance scheme, right? People asking some money and all sort of things, right? Now, and under the provisions of the Monetary Law Act, right? Monetary Law Act, remember, is the governing body of central bank, is mandatory for all licensed banks and registered finance companies to provide the Sri Lanka deposit scheme for eligible depositors. Now, who are the participants? You can underline earlier who are the participants, right? Licensed commercial bank, licensed specialized bank, registered finance companies, registered leasing companies, and primary dealers. Now, who are the people covered under this deficit insurance scheme? Who are the participative organizations? Are all licensed bank. That means again, licensed finance licensed specialized bank and commercial bank and registered finance companies are covered. These are the parties, right? And you can just dot down. And this scheme was introduced. This scheme was introduced from October 1st, 2010. 2010. October 1st, 2010. This scheme was introduced. Where the Ombudsman is introduced in 2003. But this sorry, deposit insurance scheme was introduced from 2010, October 1st onward. Who are the participating organization? Sri Lanka, all licensed banks and registered finance companies. Right? And I want to tell you another important point here. Please put down this one in your handout. Now, this scheme started in 2010, from October 1st, 2010, and that is we call Deposit Sri Lanka Deposit Insurance Scheme. Remember, from 2013 onwards, from 2013 onwards, the scheme was renamed. The scheme was renamed, right? The scheme was renamed as, remember, as what? Sri Lanka Deposit Insurance Scheme and Liquidity Supporting Scheme. Liquidity Supporting Scheme. Right. Liquidity Supporting Scheme. Right. Now that's a new thing, right? Okay. Liquidity Supporting Scheme. Right? Liquidity Supporting Scheme. Right? Liquidity supporting. What is the new name for deposit insurance scheme? From 2013 onwards, they have changed the name of the scheme as Sri Lanka Deposit Insurance Scheme and Liquidity Support Scheme. Liquidity Support Scheme. What is the reason for them to change this liquidity support scheme? Right. I will explain to you all these things a little later on. Right. Okay. Right. Now, third point. Right. Now, this scheme was initiated by putting 1.1 billion provide. Now you had say will be provided. No, it's had to be deduct. We will be had to cut off, right? 1.1 billion provided by the central bank. It is a fund, right? It is a deposit fund. So fund has to be created by initially by someone. No? The central bank has put 1.1 billion, right? And now how the funds are building. That's important thing you need to know. How the funds are building, right? How the funds are building. Now, remember this and since this is an insurance scheme, all these finance companies and licensed banks need to pay premium to this fund, right? Need to pay premium to this fund. That is why this fund is accumulated. Today, as at 2019 December, the fund value, that means the so value of the deposit insurance scheme and liquidity coupled is around 62 billion. How much? Around 62 billion. Now, from that 62 billion, what central bank is doing? If some financial company or some banks need some money, they can borrow from this fund and they will lend it. That is why they have changed the name from deposit insurance scheme to deposit insurance scheme and a liquidity support scheme. If a particular organization like banks and registered finance company having some problem, some liquidity, they can borrow from this loan. For that, of course, for interest, from some cost, right? That is why they have changed the name from Sri Lanka Deposit Insurance Scheme to Deposit Liquidity Scheme. Right now, you remember, right? Okay. Now, what is the purpose? So, why we established this scheme, right? Now, the scheme was introduced, and if something goes wrong, any case of the license or registration of a member institution, remember important things. License need to be cancelled or suspended by the monetary board, then the depositors can take a premium, can take how much? The maximum rupees of 600,000 per depositor, per bank or per institution. Now, say for an example, uh, two institutions collapse, you put all 600, you can get that money under this scheme, right? What is the maximum amount you can take? 600,000 rupees per depositor per institution. Now, suppose you may have around 1 million in that particular, say for an example, the finance, right? You had around 1 million deposit. What is the amount you are going to get it under this scheme? 1 million? No, maximum of 600,000. Actually, this 600,000, initially this scheme was started with 200,000. Then after 1 year, 2 year, they have increased from 200 to 300,000. And now they have increased from 300 to 600. And today, so banks, if a customer have some problem with the institution, or it has to be cancelled, right? Otherwise, they won't give you, right? When you, that is why you got the money for the finance. The central bank monetary board has cancelled the license of, then only you are getting 600,000. Now, sometimes now some students may asking why they are not giving to Swarna Mahal and ETI, that's 600,000. No, what still they have not cancelled their license. That is why they can't give, because there's some court cases going on. But then we have to look at it a different way to give 600,000. Right? Now you see why they cannot take uh, the 600,000 things thing, because of it's not cancelled. Right? Now, how the customers take the balance? Then of course customers need to wait, right? Where? To liquidate their property, sell their assets. The balance money can get it after liquidating their assets and things like that. But central bank is giving maximum of 600,000. Right? I think you understood the concept. Right? Okay. Now let's look at it. This one. Oh. Right. Okay. Now, can you answer for this model question prepared by me? Sri Lanka Deposit Insurance Scheme was renamed in 2003. What is the new scheme called? What is the new scheme called? Sri Lanka Deposit Insurance and Liquidity Supporting Scheme. Liquidity Supporting Scheme. Right? Okay. Clear? Understood, no? So we have examiner can ask you things like that from 2000 because it started in 2010, right? And then after 2013 onwards, because why they have changed the name? Because now they have a fund base, deposit fund has accumulated. Now what are you going to do with this fund? So they can invest, they can give loans to financial institution where they have some liquidity problem and they can earn some interest on that, right? And still thereby you can improve your scheme fund base, right? Okay. Now then the questions come, right? Now how central bank or this fund get the money as premium, right? As premium. Okay, as premium. So then only use accumulate. Now I told you is around 62 billion. Now how we come from 1.1 billion start in capital and now we come to around 62 billion? How it comes? Because for in order to pay insurance, so all the banks who are registered licensed banks and finance companies lies need to pay premium to the central bank. So what is the premium central bank is paying? Say it is range from 0.10 to 0.1.5 per annum from the eligible deposits. Now say for an example, a bank is having, say for an example, just look at it, right? Just look at the board, right? Say a bank is having, right? Say for an example, deposit base of 100 billion. 100. A bank is having deposit base of 100 billion, right? So what is the premium A banks need to pay to this fund? According to that is range from, say for an example, 0.1%. So then how much? 100 billion, 0.1% into 100. So that means 1 billion. So you have to pay um, as as what? Premium, right? Okay. Now there's a keywords here. So remember, now you have to write down small things in your handout. In the same slide, you have to write. Now, two things you need to underline. One, eligible deposits, right? I will explain to you later on. Eligible deposits you need to underline. And also you need to underline will range between 0.1 and to 0.1.5%. That is the annual basis premium you need to pay monthly and quarterly basis. Monthly and quarterly basis. Right. Now, there is a formula to be done. Okay. Now listen to write down these points under the uh, under the uh, under the I will show you, right, under the right, right, under the this small your slide, you write this one, right? Basis of payment. Basis of payment. Right. Okay. Suppose this is for your license banks. License banks, right? Suppose the license bank, okay, your car, what is car? Capital adequacy ratio. Capital adequacy ratio is more than 14%. Suppose a licensed bank where your capital adequacy ratio, that means capital adequacy ratio is 14%, right? You have to pay premium of how much? 0.10. 0.10, right? Suppose the licensed bank is having less than 14% capital adequacy ratio, you need to pay 0.125%. It is more than that, 0.125%, right? And this amount you need to pay quarterly, right? You need to pay quarterly. Now say for a, based on your deposit value, total deposit value, eligible deposits, right? Eligible deposits. Quarterly, before you complete the 15 days, right? Now say January, February, March. Okay, this is the quarterly, you need to pay before April 15th. Before April 15th, this money, total deposit, eligible deposit, you have to calculate. Now say for example, total eligible deposit is, as I told you, 100. So then how much you need to pay out of 100? How much you need to pay into 0.10%, right? And divided by 4, you pay that one, right? Quarterly. For less than 14% capital adequacy ratio, those banks need to pay 125. And put it again, all registered finance companies, right? It is not applicable this, right? Every financial organizations need to pay 1.5%, not quarterly, monthly, right? Eligible deposit. Now you need to remember this. Okay, I mean, like, this is the basis of payment. This. Now you say, in your tute you say the premium to be levied on eligible deposit will range from between 0.2 to 1.5, no? Right, between. And some you call the latter part is a monthly or quarterly basis. Right? Now you see how it changed from 0.1 to C. There is a in between 0.125. Right? So those banks who are maintaining a capital adequacy ratio less than 40%, you need to pay 0.125. 14 or 14. 14 or less than, right? 14 or less than, right? 14% or less than. Here, above 14%. So what is suppose your bank is maintaining a capital adequacy ratio of 14.1%. For that, how much you need to pay premium of the total eligible deposits? 10. But if a bank is maintaining 14 or 14% less capital adequacy ratio, you need to pay slightly higher rate, 1.25. Right? You need to pay on quarterly basis. Now, say from all the registered finance companies, and this is not applicable for them. Whatever the registered finance company, they need to pay 0.15 as premium from eligible deposit and need to be paid monthly, not quarterly. Right? Please put down these informations in your handout after that. Right? Clear? Please write this one in your handout. All this information. After the premium to be levied on eligible deposit range from 0 1, under that you can write. Okay, I hope you understood. If any clarification you need, right? Chalani, how you got the you understood what I've talked to you? Now I'll explain to you.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Then Mohammed, Dilshan, Mohammed, Mohammed, you can unmute and just tell me. I just roughly take some students, right? Okay, Mohammed. Mohammed, Mike. Okay, doesn't matter. So, right, please write down this one. Okay, right. Now I'm under this. Okay, right. Now let's look at it some questions now. Right. Okay, right. I hope you understood. And there's a word here. Now, can you answer to this question? This is March 2015 question in our exam. Under the Sri Lanka Deposit Insurance Scheme, the premium required to be paid by member institution. Now, who are the member institution? All registered finance companies and all licensed bank. But can anyone tell me why leasing companies are not there? Why leasing companies are not there? Huh? Why leasing companies are not there? Because leasing companies are not supposed to take the public deposit. Simple as that. Sometimes they will ask some question: why leasing companies are not covered under deposit insurance scheme? Simply because they are not supposed to take public deposits. So therefore, they are not there in the scheme. Right. Okay. What may be the correct answer here? They are asking member institution. Eligible deposit on monthly, quarterly basis will range from, what is the answer? From 0.1% to 0.15. Okay, clear? Right, 0.1% to 0. Where there is a in between, there's something, right? 1.25. Right. Okay. Now think on this. And this is the questions came your SFS. The students who are doing the SFS, so Survey of Financial System, this September 2019, you got 5 marks. Question number 3, fourth question, you get 5 marks. Filling A, B, C, D, E. Right. Now, can you write down or can you fill the answer for this? I'll give you some time for you to. Then it covered this, right? You look at it, this scheme, right? And see whether you can answer to this question. You get 5 marks, right? Because you are learning financial plans management, but you earn survey 5 marks. That's good, no? Right. Okay. Because it is covered both, right? Both subjects. Right. Can you answer to this? If you want, you just put down. Then I noted that today morning only I have noted there's questions came from SFS, right? Okay. Now look at it, this answer, write down and you get an idea, right? Okay. So what is the, here you get the member institution, right? Right. What is the answer for A? Huh? What is the answer for A? Reporting frequency. What is a reporting frequency? Answer A is quarterly. Simple as that. 1 mark. Right? So what is the answer for B? What? Monthly. So you get 2 marks. Now, capital adequacy ratio is more than 40. What is the answer for C? 1.10. Suppose the question is put it another way around, less than 14 or 14, just only 14 without having this figure. Then what will be the answer? Then this has to come here. Then your answer C should be 0.125, not 10. Right? But in this case, they ask only more than 40, so therefore answer is 0.10. Right. So what is the answer for D? Premium 0.15. Okay. In both cases, how much a customer get it as maximum compensation? How much? Rupees how much? Rupees 600,000 per customer. Per customer. Clear? Right? So you see 5 marks you can easily earn because of this. Right? There's nothing apart from that you will get. And mind you, remember, now you are supposed to pay. I told you, now that question is not asked. So you're supposed to pay after quarterly, you have to pay before the next month, before the 15th of the next month. Now say January to March premium need to pay before April 15th. Before April 15th. If not paying your 15th, the bank, the central bank will fine you. What is the fine? Prevailing treasury bill rate plus 2% top of that. Right? You have to pay fine. Right? You need to pay top of that. Okay? You need to pay top of that. You need to pay how much? Prevailing treasury bill rate and another 2% as a fine. Clear? I hope you understood that questions. Okay? Right. Any questions to be clarified on this? If you have anything, please ask me. Don't worry. Right? Anything to be clarified? So very important things, right? It is good for your commercial banking. This question, this area was good for your survey and for financial crisis management. So they can ask question from one of any of these, right? Okay, right. Now let's look at it again with this, right? I think you got the clear answer, right? Now we are moving to what is the principal objective, right? What is the principal objective of this scheme, right? What is the principal objective of this scheme? Now, you cannot remember we had Ombudsman objective, no? Likewise, what is the objective of this scheme? Objective deposit income scheme are to contribute to the stability of the country's financial system while protecting depositors, right? Protect the small depositors one way, other one is the financial systems stability, right? That's important. Otherwise, people lost the trust. Now people know if even though something happened to the deposit insurer, the bank, I can get the money, right? But remember the other important things I want to tell you. When you deal with National Savings Bank, so it is immaterial because you can get any amount, not 600,000. Remember that, because that 600, that entire your full payment, your full deposit is guaranteed only by the National Savings Bank. That is a statutory provision, right? If you deposit the money, say, if you deposit the money with National Savings Bank 1 million, something happened to National Savings Bank, so you can get 1 million. That is a separate one, right? Right? Because the National Savings Bank not supposed to cover down this scheme also, right? Why? So somebody can then ask, you can get two from 600 from there and 1 million. So that is illegal as far as the insurance is concerned. Only insurance you can get one, except for life. Right. Okay. Right. Now you see the objective of the deposit insurance scheme. Um, and also remember, deposit insurance help customer confidence, right? And it is good for banks also, no? Thereby you can build up the trust and confidence. Okay, now I want to tell you another important things, right? I always mention eligible deposits. Now, when you are calculating your premium, right? Now, premium is, say, for an example, for a bank where you are having more than 14% annual capital adequacy ratio, your bank is maintaining more than 14%. How much you need to pay as a premium? 14%, sorry, 0.1% from the total eligible deposits. Right now, what are those when you are calculating the eligible deposits? What are the eligible deposits you are going to take into account? Right, and these are the eligible deposits, right, for claim, which are exclude of these deposits. Right now, say from and remember, so far no question asked from this area. Remember, so far no questions asked from this area, so there may be a possibility of asking question. What are the deposits you are not going to take into account when you are calculating premium? So what are the deposits exclude? Right now, eligible deposits you won't take. Now, say for an example, what are those excludes? The deposits of member banks and finance companies. Now, say Sampath Bank, he's deposit some money with National Savings Bank or maybe with another bank, commercial bank. So those deposits are not going to take into account. And finance companies. Government of Sri Lanka, suppose ministry, some ministries, government institution deposit money with the banks, no? So that money also not going to take into account. Then your shareholders, your directors, your key management personnel and other related parties, money deposits also not going to take into account. And also the deposits held as collateral and also not going to account. Now, say for example, one person is having 100 million deposits. They have taken 90 million loan out of that. So therefore 100 million not taken into account for calculation. And also the other accounts we call deposits comes under abundant property or dormant account categories, also not going to take into account. Now it's simply as this. Now suppose now think on this, right? Okay, now just look at it. Now say for an example, your bank, for an example, right? Your bank is having deposits. Now your bank total deposits. Now say for example, your bank total deposits consists, say, 200 billion. Your bank total deposit is 200 billion. Total deposit. Now this 200 billion, it consists of customers, right? Individual customers, say 100, say 100 billion. Companies, private companies are maintaining 50 billion. Okay. So then you have member bank having deposit of 10 billion. Government deposits, government institutions deposits, you having 10 billion. Okay, 10 billion. Then you may have your shareholders, your directors, all money, you having 10 billion, right? Then you may have another deposit sales as collateral, right? You have a 10 billion. Okay, so abundant property, I will explain to you what is abundant property value is 10 billion, say 5 billion. Say next one is dormant account balances 5 billion. Right. Now 150, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At the bottom 10, 50, that is how your 200 billion comes. Okay. So when you are calculating for your premium, your bank calculating the premium, bank take only how much? Only 150 billion. They are not going to take into account these deposits, right? These are only eligible deposits. So premium is 100 and into 1%. So this is how you are going to calculate. Those are not eligible for premium calculation. That is why we call eligible deposits. Now, examiner can ask from you, what are the deposits you are going to exclude when you are calculating your, simple as that, right? That is why I want to highlight. Clear, understood? Okay, any clarifications, anything? Humi, okay, Humi got the, you understood Humi? Humi is correct, no? H-I-U-I-M-I, Humi, Humi, Mohammed Dilshan, yes. Need, okay, what is Mohammed you say? Need more clarification. On what, Mohammed? You need more clarification. Tell me, I can explain to you again. Mohammed is asking more clarification. Is that one you want? In which area you need? This chapter. This deposit insurance scheme. Okay, so I will explain to you. Don't worry, right? Because if someone asks question, right now we are discussing deposit insurance scheme, right? Now the deposit insurance scheme, we discuss. It is central bank. They create a fund, right? Create the initial fund is 0.1 billion, and now that fund has come to something close to 62 billion. Now, how this fund is creating? Because it is mandatory by all the financial institution, registered financial institution, and licensed banks need to pay premium to this fund. How they calculate? You need to calculate the premium based on their total deposits, right? So banks who is having 14% capital adequacy ratio, they need to pay 0.1% from the total deposit as a premium. Like your insurance, you need to pay insurance premium, no? That has to be paid to the insurance company. Likewise, this amount has to pay from to the bank, to the central bank, right? And registered finance companies need to pay, irrespective of the capital adequacy ratio, is 1.5%. Right? Okay. Now, always we are telling eligible deposits mean some of the deposit. Now, your bank is getting the deposit from various customers, various institutions. Now, individual customers, private customers, right? Any other than these 6 areas, member banks. That means, suppose People's Bank having deposits with commercial banks. You are not going to say 10 billion, you are not going to take into account. So government institution, government department deposits having people's bank. Some directors, right? Directors deposits are not going to take into account. Collateral, that means if you put some money and take a loan against that, that money also not going to take into account as a deposit. Then you have abandoned property. I will explain you what you mean by the abandoned property. And the dormant account balances in your bank not going to take into account. Suppose in this case, that particular bank total deposits have been 200 billion. Now there are 5 deposits. We are not 6 deposits. We are not going to take into account. When you calculate these, comes to around 100 billion, 50 billion, right? So what is the total? 200. We need to deduct 50 billion from this, right? This 50 billion from this, and then it's come 150. For that, you need to pay 0.1% as agreed. That's a statutory thing, right? You need to pay so much of premium month quarterly to the central bank, right? That is how this deposit insurance fund, right, creating fund increasing. Okay, there one either. Right. I hope you now understood. Now you have to listen to me from the beginning to get a clear picture, right? Now, why deposit insurance scheme? If something happened to your financial institution, it may be cancel the license by the central bank, and the depositors who put the money in that particular institution can get maximum of 600,000 rupees per customer per bank, right? From where they give the money, that is the fund creating premium from the bank based on the deposits base, right? Then only they created this fund. As I told you, now it's come to around 62 billion, right? Okay, right? Right. Okay. Okay, Mohammed. I think you understood now, right? Okay. Now go back to the our subject. Now remember. Now I told you no question asked from this, right? Now these questions up to now no question asked about this area, right? Now let's look at it. Now here you mentioned deposit falling within the meaning of abundant property in terms of banking act, right? And dormant account. Now you need to understand what do you mean by abundant property, right? Now how abundant property mean atahara damana lada tampatu. Then I don't know whether you have in your life also certain properties you have abundant already, okay? Right? Okay, let's look at it now. What is meant by abandoned property of bank? These questions came on March 2016. March 2016. In your exam, what is meant by 2 marks, right? What is meant by abandoned property of banks? Right. Write this down, and I will uh, abandoned property of banks. What is meant by abandoned property of banks? Please write down, right? Right. If a savings or time deposit, what is meant by abandoned property of banks? Under that you can write, it is a, if a savings or time deposit, if savings or time deposits remain idle, ideally, remain idle No, I'm giving to answer for dormant account. Sorry, yeah. Now I just right. Uh, I mean giving the answer for the dormant account, right? Now please just write down under dormant account, right? What is dormant account, right? Sorry, what is dormant account? That's the answer, right? Dormant, under what is dormant account? You can write if a savings or time deposits remain idle for more than a more than a more than a specific period, more than a specific period, such as such as such as 1 year, such as 1 year, or 2 years, or 2 years, as per the policy, as per the policy, as per the policy of respective banks, as per the policy of respective banks, I call them as a dormant account. Right? Dormant account, right? Okay, I will repeat it again. What is dormant account, right? Under that, you can write, if a savings or time deposits remain idle for more than a specific period, more than a specific period, that periods may be depend from bank to bank. Some bank may say they have categorized dormant account as 1 year, no any transaction, just leave there, or more than 2 years, that depend on the bank, right? Remain idle for more than a specific period, such as 1 year or 2 year, as per the policy of respective banks, we call dormant account, right? So then what is meant by a abandoned property of banks? You can write under abandoned property of bank, right? Deposits and other funds, deposits and other funds of customers, deposits and other funds of customers, deposits and other funds of customers that have been dormant, that have been dormant, that have been dormant, that have been dormant more than 10 years, more than 10 years, more than 10 years, without any communication, without any communications or instruction from the customer, is called abandoned property, right? Okay, I will repeat it again. What do you mean by a dormant account? Dormant account means savings or time deposits or fixed deposit remain idle for more than 1 or 2 years, as per some specific period, as per 1 or 2 years, right? As per the policy of the respective bank. But abandoned properties specifically say that the deposits and other funds, customers that have been dormant for more than 10 years, more than 10 years, without having any sort of a communications or instruction from the bank, we call them as abandoned property of banks. Okay, right. More than 10 years. Now you see, earlier we noted that now there are two things, right? You are not going to take into account for calculation your deposits, right? Okay, right. Okay, right. Now let's look at it. What are the purposes of deposit insurance scheme? First one, of course, the protect, you can say protect small deposit customers, right? If you within bracket, you can put protect small depositors, that means small deposit customers. Put the salary there. Protect small deposit customers, right? Okay, second one you can put, as you know, maintain the soundness of the financial systems, right? It is in your handout. Then a third point, providing funding supporting to certain NBFI, NBA non-banking financial institution. Now you can give loan, no? right? That is one, right? Liquidity problems. Not only non-bank financial institution, but sometimes the banking institution also you can provide. Fourth one, you can say tax incentive promote consolidation, right? There may be some tax, but you just put it, but as it is, right? Then you can put another point here under fifth point, you can say build up customer confidence. Build up customer confidence. Fifth point, you can say build up customer confidence, right? And also you can put another point here, encourage savings. Another point, encourage savings, because people tend to deposit money because you are, if you're something happened to your bank or institution, you can get 600,000 rupees, right? Okay, so therefore, if you have more money, don't put into same bucket. No, you can put all bags 600, 600, 600. So you are getting per depositor per bag 600. If you put all money in one bag, whatever, you may losing other amount. You are getting 600,000. At least if you diversify your deposits, also you may get all the money. So don't put everything into one bucket, right? Okay. The next purpose is next benefits of pay. Next advantage, you can say discourage illegal financial institution. Now, people, if you put it the money where it is not a registered finance company, because these are not covered under this scheme, so you are not going to get any money. So therefore, discouraging putting money in a unregistered illegal institution. Why you won't get anything from this, right? As a result of that. Okay, these are the positive, the purposes or advantages. Now let's look at it. Write down somewhere in your handout. What are the disadvantages? Only we are talking about good things. No, are there we are having the bad things? Yes. Let's look at it now. What are the disadvantages of deposit insurance scheme? So write down somewhere in your handout. Right. First one, moral hazard problem. Just put down. Right? Moral. MORAHAZD. Problem. සදාචාරාත්මක උවදුර. සිංහලෙන් කිව්වොත්. Right? සදාචාරාත්මක උවදුර. Moral hazard problems. Right? I will explain. Second one, not all deposit covered. Second disadvantage, not all deposit covered. No, there are some deposit are not covered. And the third one you can put, credit customers also not covered, right? Your credit customers also not covered. Right. Okay. Now there are some advantages as well as disadvantages, also limitation. Now let's look at it. September 2014 question 1. What does deposit insurance cause moral hazard problem or moral hazard problem? What is that? That is what one of the disadvantage, right? Okay, let me explain now what do you mean by moral hazard problem. Right, just write down. Now say, okay, now before I will explain to you I'll give you the definition or in writing, just think on this. Now, you bought a car, right? You bought a car. You can't put into the road unless otherwise you get some insurance cover. At least you need to have third-party insurance, right? You know what you mean third-party insurance mean? You may need to be protected by the customers who may impacted because of your vehicle. Now, since you got a third-party insurance, you won't get anything for your car. If something happened or some accident, So you won't get any things money, any claim you can get it, no? So then what happened? You are very carefully trying to drive your car. Why? You know, if something happened to you or something get an accident, something knock or somebody has, or you go and put somewhere else, you won't get any money in the insurance cover. So you have to be very careful now driving. Now suppose you get a full insurance cover for your car. Now what, when you are driving now, you tend to take some risk, no? Appuna kawanne appunta මොකද මට ගන්න පුළුවන් on the spot. පොඩ්ඩක් ඔය අප්පුනට කවන්න I call insurance company and get some claim. Why? Now you have covered your insurance, no? Same thing. Now because of your thinking now, your banks and also the depositors now try to take some risk. Because of you think, I am getting 600,000, I can take some risk. That is what you call moral hazard problem. Right, write down. Under that you can write down both depositors and banks, both depositors and bank, both depositors and bank, both depositors and banks tend to take, T-E-N-D, tend to take more risk, tend to take more risk. Both depositors and banks tend to take more risk, tend to take more risk, expecting a financial loss, expecting a financial loss, expecting a financial loss covered from the deposit insurance scheme, covered from the deposit insurance scheme if the banks or financial institution fail. If the banks or financial institution fails. Okay, clear? Right. Now let's look at it. Some of the questions came on this deposit insurance scheme for get a better understanding. Right. Okay. Now these questions came from September 2015. Now I think you can answer to this question. I don't want to tell. What is the maximum amount of compensation payment under the Sri Lanka Deposit Insurance Scheme? What's the amount? Who pays 600,000, right? Okay, simple as that. Okay, now you can write down what is the dual role of deposit insurance. We have already discussed this one. What is the dual role of the deposit insurance? Okay, just see whether you can code it. What is the dual role? Right? Okay, right. Let's look at it. What is the dual role of the deposit insurance scheme? One, okay, what is the dual role of the deposit insurance scheme? Protect customers and protect small customers, and other one is financial institution stability. Right. I want to add some more thing. The examiner can ask from this area also. Now go to your first slide under the deposit insurance scheme. Just look at it, this one, right? Okay, deposit insurance scheme, where we have discussed. This was introduced in October 1st, 2010, and was renamed from 2013 as deposit Sri Lanka deposit insurance scheme and liquidity support scheme. Under that also you write this one, right? Underwrite this sign. From January 1st, 2018, right? From January 1st, 2018, this deposit insurance scheme earlier comes under, right? Just listen to me. Yeah? Earlier comes under Director of Bank Supervision. Now these schemes from 2018 January 1st onwards, these schemes will look after or monitored or administered or maintained or whatever, by a separate department called Resolution and Reinforcement Department. Remember that. Resolution and Reinforcement Department. Right? Resolution, RESOLOUTIO, Resolution and Reinforcement Department of Central Bank. Right? A separate department. Now we're going to look after these areas as well as some issues pertaining to disputes and things like that. Right? Okay. The new things, I just add something to you where no question asked up to now. I hope now you understood the deposit insurance schemes. Now, these are things available for customers to protect, right? These are customer protection initiatives taken by the central bank. First, we discussed financial ombudsman, then deposit insurance scheme. Before that, we have another one we have already learned, right? Annual effective rate and nomination. Okay. Right. Now we have just completed the deposit insurance scheme. To my knowledge, examiner cannot ask more than that from you. Right? More than that. I'll guarantee you on that. Right? Any questions, any subject, now you can answer. Right? Okay. Now we are going to discuss the third one, is what you call customer charter. Customer charter. And that's another important area, customer charter. Now, it was directed by number 8 of 2011 onwards, right? And established under customer charter. Actually, the customer charter is basically, we call them as a code of conduct, right? Now, this charter sets key standards of fair banking practices. Investigate by customers when they undertook transaction with the banks, right? Now, remember, so if you're a new employee of the organization in the bank, right? When you take in your appointment letter, you have signed, you obliged to customer charter. So you need to sign. When you're taking your appointment letter, you say, I am adhere to code of conduct or customer charter, right? It's a mandatory. So every employee must sign when you accept in your job a customer charter, right? Because it's give you a guidance to the licensed bank to adopt code of conduct on customer protection. So every employee of the organization for a bank must protect the customers as possible. Right. Now we are going to discuss what are the things covered under customer charter. Right. Let's look at it. What are the main objective of customer charter? What are the main objective? Why? Right. Now we have learned what is the main objective of ombudsman, main objective of deposit insurance scheme, objective of customer charter. Right. Let's look at it. What are the main objectives? Right. Objectives are safeguarding the interest of customers. That is our job. Protect. Now we are learning protecting customers, right? Safeguarding the interest of customers. Second, building up a healthy relationship between customer and bank. Now that's important thing. Customer to be survive, bank to be survive. The healthy relations play an important role. And also, customer charter like Ombudsman, like charter, deposit insurance scheme, build up a customer confidence, right? And also, not only that, because of building up the customer confidence towards the banking sector, and it's ensure the stability of the banking system, financial system stability also encouraged. So these are the reason, or these are the objectives of main objective of customer charter. Right now, what is the directions? 8 of 2011. Right. Now all the banks must adopt code of conduct based on the customer charter. So if you go to your bank and you may have a customer charter. And also, as I told you, all the employees must obtain written confirmation on adhering to the code of conduct. So every employee must know what is customer charter because you have already signed. And also, all licensed banks must publish customer charter in their website and make copies available customers as if they are requested. So you must give, this is my customer chart. Right? Now few things we learn. Right? Employee must adhere to the customer charter based on the uh, code of conduct based on the customer charter, and this charter must be available. It has to be published on website, and if the customers request on their preferred language. Now preferred language mean only single English Tamil, not any other subjects, any other language. Okay. Now let's look at it. What are the things inside this customer chart? What are the things inside in this customer chart? Okay. Now remember, the customer have the right. Now this customer charter consists of two things. First, two things. What bank employee or what bank can do to protect customers, or duties and responsibility of customers protection, as well as duties and responsibilities of customers towards the bank. මේක හරියට අර දෙමව්පියන්ගෙන් දරුවන්ට ඉටු විය යුතුකම්, ඒ වගේම දරුවන්ගෙන් දෙමව්පියන්ට ඉටු විය යුතුකම් අහලා තියෙනවනේ. ඒ වගේ තමයි. Right? So what are the duties and responsibility of banks towards the customers as well as customers towards the bank? Two-sided. Right? Now, first chapter we are going to discuss what is the duties and responsibilities of banks or banks employees towards the customer. Right. The first thing you need to know, the customers have the right to receive factual information and understand financial products and services offered by the banks. Right, that's the first thing. So every bank, may have lot of products. You call it, you may have with different brand names, different products and services. Even you don't know some of the features of these products, no? Right. But if it is a duty of you to give all the required actual information, factual information to customers and for them to understand their products offered by you, right? Okay, remember, it is a duty of you to give all the information to customer, right? And also, you must tell them what are the uh, important features of that particular uh, uh, key features of that particular financial product, right? And its form of a brochure. Now, every bank is preparing a brochure, leaflet, or pertaining to particular product or services, right? And that leaflet must carry all the information, right? And that document we call them as key fact document, right? Right. If you look at the brochure, there are some points need to be incorporated, and that information we call them as key fact, minimum information in key fact document, right? Okay, let's look at it. What are the things you need to give in that particular key fact document? That means for a brochure, for an example, descriptions of product and services, right? What are the benefits going to get by the customers, financial or any other benefits? Now, what are the fees or charges or commission or interest you are going to pay them? How to get these facility or how to get the services? What is the mechanism? What is the procedure? What are the major terms and conditions? Right? What else? And how we are going to have a problem? So, what is the method of complaining? Right? And all these points. Now, say for an example. Now, say you are going to open uh, a ladies account for an example. So you must give all the descriptions of the ladies account. What are the benefits you are going to get it? When you get married, you get 25,000. You have a baby, you get something. You have a wedding gift or whatever you think. You have to explain in your key fact document. That is a brochure. And what are the interests you are going to offer? Or what are the charges if you are not maintaining a minimum balance of so much of you are going to charge? Whatever, right? And how to open an account? What are the documents you need to give, right? What are the terms and conditions? Like as I explained to you, you need to maintain minimum of 10,000 rupees in your account in order to get all these benefits like that, right? So it is important bank to give all this information, and that is what you call key fact document or brochure, right? It is a mandatory by the central bank based on the customer charter, right? If the customer comes to your counter and asks, I say if a lady comes, I need to open a ladies account, right? Give me a leaflet in, I can't understand Sinhala, I can't understand Tamil, I can't understand English. Give me a French. Now what to do? No, you are not supposed to give. But if they ask, I need a Tamil brochure, then you need to give. Preferred language by the customer mean either Sinhala, Tamil, English, not any other language, right? Okay. Preferred language mean you need to give three. The customer asks, you give, right? Remember that. Preferred language mean that. Okay. Now, so there are so many things we need to learn under customer charter, right? And we will continue next week. But under this, And uh, uh, so what we have done today, right? Sorry, what we have learned today, customer charter and financial ombudsman and deposit insurance scheme. Right. So very interesting, and it's benefited to all other subject as well. And also you may at least you get one or two questions on this area, right? Any questions before we stop today? We will continue. I will send you another areas, what actions taken by the regulator for protect customers. Right now, we are now dealing with what customer protection laws and practices. Right under that, we have learned three. There are so many things to learn. Maybe next week, and this is a very interesting area. More questions are coming. So please try to go through your tunes before we come for lecture, and when you read it again, if you have any question, please jot down and ask from me next week. Okay, now I hope you understood today. Lakmal, so Lakmal, okay, you understood Lakmal? Lakmal, right? Abhishnath, right? Okay. Nigel, Anthony, okay, I'll get some. Uh, okay, all clear, good, thank you. Sumuduni, then whoever, right? Then, right, Chalani, Taranga Dilrushi, okay, right. So we will stop today. Then, right, good, right. Right. So please, because please keep on attending the lectures, because certain things in is not in your handout, and maybe I can explain to you. Right. So better to, if you miss anyhow, you can see the recorded version. But always, I will prefer for you to getting involved with me. This is, it's a two-way process. But if you are at the classroom, I can ask, I can see your face, and I can decide whether you understood or not. But here I can't see you, so therefore it is your duty to get the maximum out from me. Okay. So thank you very much. So we will see you on next week, where we'll continue with the customer charter, and we go for other important areas under this. And remember, as I told you at the um, very beginning, uh, there may be a 3 to 4 questions is coming on this, right? And at the next slide, the next set of piece of paper, I will give you a question, another question. It is a model type of questions. I will print it and give you. It's like this. If I go like this, I thought of giving you to write it down, but then I will print it, and next time I will give you this question, and this another questions a different way, right? Okay, so I will print this one, and next times I'll give you. We try to do this question while we are going through our normal syllabus, right? Okay, so these questions I will be given to you next time with your handout. Try to answer. Okay, right. Then see you for next Sunday. Thank you for joining me, and try to be actively participate with me. That's what I am expecting from you. Okay, thank you very much.